Hey guys, welcome to the Bookkeeper Business Secrets Podcast. I'm your host Bryce, and today we're going to be talking about three main things, really about the timing of when to grow your business, how to grow it a little bit faster, and like how to really be more decisive when it comes to actually going after that business growth. So before we get started, I want to shout out our student Melissa Hill inside of our mentorship program. She got $1,600 per month within about 14 days of working with us. So really excited for her. She's actually in the Carolinas, and it was really hard for her in the beginning because there was so many different things that she was trying. I think she had one client, and it was a family member, so $200 per month, and she was having a lot of trouble getting people to end up paying her for her services, right? Because it's one of those things where it's oh no, my red light died. Oh, that's sad. It's one of those things where it's when you're first getting started, there's so many different things that either you don't know or just things that are really slowing you down from finding success. So the more areas that you can kind of understand, the more skills you can kind of stack on one another, the easier it is to grow the business. So I think we're going to do a result breakdown on this podcast episode. So probably not today's podcast episode, but maybe on tomorrow's, because we actually filmed a recap interview as well as a behind the scenes coaching call. So I want to probably release the behind the scenes coaching call so you guys get an understanding of what it actually took to go and earn that $1,600 per month in about 14 days, right? Because sometimes when I say a result, some people kind of feel like it's magic, but I really want to kind of on this channel and on this podcast kind of remove the magic and make it more tangible for someone like yourself to be able to start going and replicating those results. And then for people that either want to get there a little bit faster, or for people that are having trouble and struggling and just want help, they can just join our mentorship program, which is what Melissa actually did to go and get those results. Awesome. So let's jump into the rookie mistake of the week. Okay, so waiting too long to go to market. So there's generally a couple different aspects of this that I see happen. So number one aspect is people think that they are not ready skill-wise. And this is whether someone just got into industry or if they've been doing accounting in corporate America for 20 years. I've seen it from both spectrums. I've seen people who are CFOs of companies that are just nervous to get started, right? Because it's just well, what services do I offer? Now, it's not the services you offer. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You can do it market forward or market backwards approach, okay? So market forward means that you're thinking of all your different services right now before you go to the market. And I don't really like that methodology because in a lot of cases, you don't really know what they need. You can think payroll, AR, invoicing, AP, transactional bookkeeping. You can think sales and use tax. You can think of cleanups, catch-ups, whatever. But there's always all these little subsects of it. So for example, you don't actually have to do the AR. You can just manage the person's doing the AR, right? You can actually go and do third-party payroll processing instead of manual payroll processing, right? A lot of different intricacies within there. So if you're always trying to guesstimate every single thing before you go to market, you might feel prepared, but when you actually get there, you're going to have to go back to the drawing board very, very quickly. Instead, I like using a market backwards approach. So I go to market, then I make my service. And I like to customize my service based on what they tell me that they need. It's really not customization because I'm leading the conversation on the consultation call in a way that gets them to want to do the services that I am best at, right? So if I only want to do basic bookkeeping, right, because I want to have my team do majority of the work, then I would force the conversation down basic bookkeeping. If they need extra services, in some cases we'll offer the extra services, if it's AR, AP, right? But in a lot of cases, if you don't have a good team, if you just don't have much time, then you have to be able to kind of turn down the service and just define your scope of work for something that you're really suited for. But I go to market first, then I come back. So that's reason one why some people don't go to market right away. Second reason why I see some people not going to market right away is because they have a little bit of nerves, hesitation, and kind of fear around can they actually get clients? Meaning will people actually want to work with them? Now, in my opinion, that's a very reasonable thing. Especially if you have a lot less experience and there's always that imaginary kind of imaginary competitor. It's like a phantom competitor where it's like, it's not really competitive, but it's just like that idea that there are people with like 50,000 years experience that you're competing with. And it's like, well, why would someone work with me when they can have this person that's 50,000 years of experience? But one thing they need to remember, after accounting businesses get to a certain size, they try and grow based on like referrals or buying other practices. They're not going to be trying to do the cold calls, the direct ads the same way that you would when you're starting out, right? Because they have economies of scale. They have marketing economies of scale because they can get referrals from their existing clients. And a lot of them start transitioning more to taxes than just monthly bookkeeping anyway. So you don't really have that strong of competition going after these off-market deals. Now, what is an off-market deal? So an off-market deal is very similar like buying a house. Which one do you think is going to be easier to get the price that you want? The house in 1980s with no information about like the MLS, they have no idea what their house actually work, and you just like come up to them with like a cash offer? Or the place that's being sold by a realtor, they have like 5 open houses every single week, they have Zillow, they know exactly how much their house is worth. Which one is an easier one to go and get? It's going to be this one. No competition, no one knows about it. They don't have the technology to be able to go and like research other pricing and other things, right? It's the same thing with your accounting services. So a lot of times, like, you might hear me say things like, don't go on Upwork, don't go on like Bark, don't go on like Thumbtack, right? Why am I saying that? It's because on all these platforms, there's one lead and there's like a bunch of buyers. So on Bark and like Thumbtack, there's generally like a limit to how many competitors you're going up against. Sometimes it's like 4, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10, depending on like what platform you're using. But on a platform like Upwork, it's like there's one job proposal, there's like 1,000 people, right? There's like 1,000 people competing for that job. And I'll even break it down. So one of our students in our mentorship program named Cynthia, she wanted to use Upwork just because she was new, and like I told her not to, but she just wanted to do it. It's like, okay, whatever, try it. So she did it for about a month, and then she sent out, I believe she sent out like 100 job, it was either 100 or like, I don't exactly remember, it was over 100 job proposals. And then she's like, yeah, I'm not getting any responses and blah, 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 blah. And then like 3 weeks later, she says, I actually got a notification that someone checked out my proposal. So they opened up my proposal. That means for the other 99, they haven't even been opened yet. I was like, well, I kind of told you that, you know, Upwork, there's just so much competition. You get lost in that sea. So you either have to be really good, you have to be first, or you have to be cheap, right? Good, first, cheap. A lot of people can be good, right? But you're not really going to be fast. You're not going to be cheap in a lot of cases. Same thing with a platform like a Thumbtack or a Bark, right? It's like there's just too many people that you're competing against. So instead, we like to utilize social media because you're not dealing with as many competitors. Think about it. Most of your competition doesn't even have a LinkedIn profile. Like, if you really think about it, they don't have a LinkedIn profile, they don't have a LinkedIn business page. They barely even know how to use, like, how to log on to Facebook. So you have a technology advantage over them by learning how to utilize those different platforms that they don't understand. So if you get a hold of the technology and if you understand how to use the technology correctly, you're going to be able to stand out against and amongst them because you're in a sea. It's like you're in an ocean where there's a bunch of fish for you to eat. You're the only shark in the ocean. Let's say it like that. You're the only shark in the ocean, right? You never want to go into an ocean where there's 50,000 other sharks, right? There's just too much blood in the water. You're not going to be able to make it out. And you're going to starve to death. So that's the thought on that, right? You don't really have like these competitors, right? Because like all the best guys are not doing sales and marketing anymore. They're doing what's called enrollment calls. Basically what that means is that, I don't know why I started chewing gum. I just like the taste. I've gone through an entire pack in like 3 days. I don't know why. Just love gum. I chew so much gum, my like jaw ends up getting like sore. I have to like stop for like 2 weeks or whatever. But they do what's called enrollment calls. Now, all that means is like someone basically has heard from a friend that this is the person they use for bookkeeping, taxes, or accounting. But it's like, oh, I want to work with you. Okay, cool. It's this price point, and then you go, right? It's like that's all that their sales calls are. So they lose the muscle and the skill set to go and take a cold lead to being a warm lead, right? And that's kind of the point that I'm trying to get you to inside the mentorship program, where in the beginning, yes, you might have to develop your sales skills a little more strongly to go and get your initial set of clients. But once you kind of get to this point where you're getting referrals and the leads are coming in, your sales skills aren't really that important anymore. It's like you can just focus on the accounting and bookkeeping, because people that come to you already don't work with you. Good example, this is our student Suzanne. Now Suzanne last year was getting clients she was getting two to three clients a week from Valentine's Day to December 31st of last year. Every week. Like even 4th of July week, Memorial Day, like Labor Day, there was no exception. Right? And it came from a referral partner. And that referral partner was just churning. Her close rate was very close to, it was like 95% on those leads. And these are prices between $800 to $2,800 from this referral source, right? So that, when you get good at this stuff, you don't have to go in and do a lot of sales and like marketing. The leads kind of come to you. And the reason why her close rate was so high wasn't because she was necessarily a master salesperson anymore. It's because they wanted to work with her. Like, she would literally just send the quote in like email, not even talk about the quote on the phone, right? So she used we use what's called a 2-call close process. So one call, you basically like meet and greet, and you basically talk and like build up the value. Second call, you're generally trying to sell your service. She didn't even need a second call after a certain point. She just did the initial call. We teach her to like give like an accurate price range, and then she would. Sorry, my phone started going. And then she would literally just send the quote an email, and they would already have paid it before like the end of the day. It was ridiculous. It was just so simple to kind of go. Right? And that kind of goes to the next business lesson, right? It's like the best time to start something is now. You're not going to be great at it. It's not going to go the way you think. But the best things in life will take a little bit of time. There's always like a build-up time they have to go. It's almost like a delayed kind of response, right? You set out the intention to do something, you set out the goal, and you commit to that goal. And then over time, you're going to start making movements towards it. And that's how it naturally happens. But you have to get started now. What a lot of people think is like they're waiting for like this perfect time to get started. And unfortunately, there's not a perfect time. There's not a perfect set of conditions, because the market is always changing, right? So what might look perfect today is going to look very antiquated tomorrow, or it's not going to work the same way the next day. For example, the thing about social media, so social media gets harder and harder for the average person to find success on every single day, right? Because the way that most people find success on social media, and like this is just like influencers. I'll just talk about influencers, not just talk about accountants and bookkeepers in this second. But they make some videos, the video starts getting traction, they start building an audience. But they're not paying the social media money for those views. So the social media platform starts getting upset or jealous. I want to get paid for you using my platform to make money. So they start lowering the amount of viewers of your total following that actually see your video. So let's say that you have like 100 followers, right? Just for the sake of example, I know it's not a lot. Initially, social media will let you have all 100 people see it. Then every 6 months, okay, now it's only 50% of your audience will see it. Okay, after that, it'll be like 25%. Then it goes down to like 10%. Now it's currently at between 2 to 5% of your total audience actually see your post on average. So if you're waiting for this perfect time to get started, if you wait 6 months, a year, you might not ever be able to get your post seen, right? So the best time to start something is generally now, when the environment is the best it's going to be, right? Because it's only going to get worse, or it's only going to get more expensive. That's a better way of saying it, because it doesn't mean like Facebook is like going to be dead or you can't use Facebook or it doesn't work. It's just you have to use it. You have to be better. It's like if you're first, it kind of goes back to the example of like the Upwork, right? You can be first, you can be best, you can be cheap, right? So if you're first, you can really be bad at stuff and you're going to still get good results. You can be cheap, which, in this kind of example, cheap doesn't really make sense when we talk about attention. So you have to be first people on the platform that are getting lots and lots and lots of exposure. You can then be the best. Now, most of you, when you're getting started, you're not going to be the best. You might be the best at your current skill set of accounting and bookkeeping, but you're starting a new skill set, which is marketing and sales and promotion. So since you're not the best at that, it's going to take you a lot longer to start finding success. So if you start today, when you're still one of the early adopters, before people know how to do this stuff, okay, it's gonna make life so much easier. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, everyone thinks that everyone else is way better than what they actually are. I've done, for our mentorship program, I've spoken to probably about it's between 3,500 to like 4,000 people on our initial consultation call. Like, I only accept like 10% of people. So it's like, we haven't had like 1 million clients or anything like that. But the number of people that all sound exactly the same. I don't know how to do marketing. I don't know how to do sales. I have no skills on the internet. Is so immense, right? And that's why our students have this unfair advantage over like their competitors in the rest of the market, because they just know how to use it. Because I know how to use it. I teach you how to do it every single day, right? But it's all about getting started now. So like the students that started 4 years ago when we started the mentorship program, it was amazingly easy to get. Like, it was stupid easy. Like, we didn't even understand how easy it was back when it was happening compared to like now. Now you actually have to like have really good processes and marketing procedures to actually stand up from the crowd and actually like make it work. Okay? So over this podcast, we're going to keep sharing more and more. We're going to start breaking down different results. In the next episode, I think we're going to break down the results of Melissa and how she actually got the $1,600 a month in about 14 days, okay? Cool. And I look forward to seeing you inside the next podcast episode. Once again, this has been the Bookkeeping Business Secrets Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Tubbs. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you inside the next video. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.